Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the 3rd and 20 Dynasty Podcast. No Jake today, but it is JT, Frank, and Lounis as we navigate ourselves through the draft combine. I think it's technically supposed to start today, but I mean, we're not going to get most of the big news until after we're done recording this. And I think this weekend's when a lot of the big stuff is happening. But I'm just going to kick us off right there, boys. The combine's starting. We've already got all of our, hype, our detractors. Bryce Young's too small. This guy's too big. Bryce Young is actually not going to throw at the combine. He's going to throw at Alabama Pro Day. But we do have Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud throwing, so there's going to be some interesting stuff there. But all in all, I'd say the combine is for the most part a bait, other than measurements. I think measurements are important.
I'm interested in the 40 times of the receivers. I think that's the thing I'm most interested in.
I hate to agree with Lounis saying that, but I agree with Lounis.
Well, here's my thing. Here's my issue with like the 40 times. For example, like I saw it's one of the hype things coming out right now is Zay Flowers put on 15 pounds of muscle allegedly during his training or whatever. So like, is that just an excuse for Zay Flowers to have a slower 40 time now, or is it like
the picture he did look a little bit more built, nothing like crazy, but I didn't view it as like an excuse. I do still think it's interesting though with not even so much for him, but I guess the two I'm most interested in to see is Quentin Johnson as fast as people are expecting him to be, and is JSN as I guess like not fast as people are expecting him to be. I think JSN people were he's going to run like a 4.5 or 4.6, and then Quentin Johnson, like if he doesn't run like a good time, how does that affect him? Because the big thing with him is like he's this huge receiver, super athletic, he's super fast. So if he has a disappointing time, I kind of wonder what's the perception of it all.
I have the picture pulled up on the screen. I will say two things. I think he's just closer to the camera in the other picture.
Ship will move up.
B, I feel like this is like one of those commercials where they're selling like weight loss stuff, and it's just like generally the same picture, but in the other one they're smiling. So like it's just giving me that kind of vibe.
I know.
Do you trust them?
Just like a straight picture like that can be deceiving, because like if you take a picture of like someone regularly versus like maybe you take a picture right after a workout where like you kind of have a pump, like also that looking different.
He's wearing leggings in the first one, right? And like black's like a slimming color, so it's like it's hiding like some of his muscles there and everything that's going on too. Like I don't know. It's just weird.
You just can't. This can't sway your opinion in any regard.
No, it hasn't.
Like it's always going to come down to the draft. And to be completely honest with you guys, I like Zay Flowers. I don't love Zay Flowers as much
as Jake's number 2 wide receiver.
The community does. I think that people are drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit, almost like this. Remember like 2 seasons ago, Brandon Ayuk. It was going into a sophomore year, right? Mm-hmm. Like I loved Brandon Ayuk. I think we all did for the most part. But in the offseason, everyone loved Brandon Ayuk. You couldn't find a take that wasn't like, oh, Brandon Ayuk to the moon. So it almost became this competition of people trying to see who can rank him the highest. I'm getting very similar vibes with Zay Flowers right now, which is just scaring me if I'm going to invest in him. Because what is his rookie ADP right now, if you were to guess off the top of your head? It's probably around, like, what, pick 10-ish? Pick 11?
11, 12. I'll check what Keep Trade Cut has him around in the Dynasty rankings. But I mean, he's not going to be ahead of the big 3 wide receivers, the 2 quarterbacks, Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs. So automatically 8 is his highest, I would say. But then there's also Levis and Anthony Richardson and other running backs like Sean Tucker, or Zach Evans, or whoever people have as their 3rd.
I'll give you Anthony Richardson and even another back, so that'll put him at pick 11 right now. Because I honestly think, like, okay, I agree with you on those names you listed, but he's very close to being the next one off the board. And we're only, 8 picks deep?
Yeah. So, all right, I have to discount Brock Bowers isn't in this draft. Drake May isn't in this draft.
Underwear Olympics this weekend.
What's that?
Yeah, that's what Peter.
Oh, yes.
What's going on, man? Yeah, the other thing I just hate about the combine is that the most important part, I think, to NFL teams is the interviews, which we just get zero access to, at least before the fact. Now with social media, we kind of do get to see from some teams what's going on, but I hate to agree with Linus, but I think the 40 times this year for the receivers, just because what was it, that 21 class where it was like the receivers are kind of just, a lot of them aren't that prototypical alpha size, right? Other than Quentin Johnson, for the most part, a lot of these high-end guys, they're all just slim. So, and they're expected to run really fast, right? If you go down the list of these over-unders, it's all, 4.39, 4.42, 4.45, 4.36, right? It's just like, damn, dude, these guys have some freaking wheels. So
Zay Flowers
someone like Hyatt. I hope I'm saying his last name right. He's expected to arguably have out of the receivers, probably the fastest 40 time, besides maybe like a late round guy that I'm forgetting about, at least with like the guys that are expected to go the first 2 or 3 rounds. So there's a lot of pressure on that. That's the number one thing I'm going to be paying attention to.
Yeah, but I think the healthy way to pay attention to it is more so who fucks up more than who knocks it out necessarily. I'm more worried about a guy if I thought that he was going to run a 4.4, he ends up running like a 4.52. I think to me that would hurt more than, a 4.39 running a 4.2.
That's why the individual receiver I'm most interested in their time is Quentin Johnson, because that's supposed to be his thing. His size and his athleticism.
I mean, the thing is, that does come back to JT's point, because it's like, do we really need to see a time to know that he's fast? Because you could just turn on the highlights or the game film and you'll see plenty of plays where he takes a short route, makes a guy miss and outruns everyone, or just takes a short route and then outruns everyone without making anyone miss.
With you've talked about this in the past, Frank, with Cooper Kupp, I'm pretty sure, with the next gen analytics and everything. They have GPS now that can just track how fast the player is, as soon as the play is over. You can see that he hit a top speed of 20.2 miles per hour on this 40-yard run or whatever. So I don't know how much this is really helping NFL teams anymore with how analytically driven they've been. They should already know most players' top speed, in-game speed or whatever you want to call it. Not just their, Peter R is saying, underwear Olympics speed.
And this is why that interview is really the most important part of this combine, is because this is it might be one of the first opportunities that a team has had to meet with a player, or at least have an extended sit down, right? They may have had a scout have a conversation or something, right? But and especially in a formal setting where the pressure is on, right? Teams definitely value this information, and we just don't get access to it, which is unfortunate. But it 100% determines what guys go in the draft. So it is relevant. Any other players you guys are interested in? Any other things that you're interested in from this combine? Well, I think the tight ends, actually. That's what popped in my head.
Darnell Washington.
Musgrave, is he participating at the combine?
I can look it up real quick.
I believe he is.
I don't know why you would.
Honestly, I know I'm not really all the QBs in general. I'm interested to see how fast Stroud is. It's not a huge thing, but that's just one thing I'm interested to see.
Why Stroud's speed?
I think that could be a big beneficiary for him if he runs a good time. But two, the one thing I think about just also, it's was your perception of Justin Fields as a running quarterback even close to how it is now when he was at Ohio State?
No. I projected him to be in a Deshaun Watson, where, because we talked about this probably a year or so ago on the pod, where I kind of came up with this Frank made distinction of rushing floor versus rushing ceiling. Yeah, Justin Fields was a rushing floor type player, 400 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns, which just gives you that floor where you could just be an average passer, then you're a QB1. He became a rushing ceiling player, a guy that could put up, didn't he just put up 1,000 yards rushing?
He had like 1,200 yards rushing. Yeah. So I'm interested. Yeah. So I know Ohio State really since, oh my God, I'm forgetting his name. Something Miller. Braxton? No.
Yeah.
Braxton Miller. They haven't really taken advantage of their QB's running ability. So, like, I mean, it's small and it's just kind of like something I kept on just because of how my perception of Justin Fields as a runner changed so much. Like, I'm wondering, obviously not to the level of Fields, because Fields is like a top 2, top 3 running quarterback in the NFL. I'm interested to see if maybe there's like something there where he has a higher rushing floor in the NFL than I imagine, and he kind of runs faster than expected.
Nah, I think like
I see where Lounis is going with this, but I don't know if I'd buy into that CJ Stroud actually is.
Even so, for CJ Stroud, I think I'd rather have him be a runner and stay behind the line of scrimmage to extend his time to throw and then still beat teams with his arm just outside of the pocket.
No, obviously you hope that like he's a good enough passer to where he can, and a better passer than Justin Fields has shown so far in the league. But like I just I don't know. It's more so like a personal thing. Like I just was like thinking about it because I was like I didn't think Fields could be this good a runner at all. And I don't think Stroud is going to like reach that level or anything. But like, I'm interested if there's like a rushing floor in like a regular season of maybe like a 400 yards or something rushing on the year.
Right. I mean, I will say that I said a couple episodes on the pod that I just feel like Stroud is going to put up closer rushing stats to Kirk Cousins than he is Ryan Tannehill. You know? And
see, that's the thing. I don't think it'll be like a Kirk Cousins level. I could see because he flashed like here and there some runs that were nice when I've been watching him. I don't know. That's just something I'm interested to see. I don't think it's as big a thing as like the receiver 40 times or anything, but it's just something I'm going to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. I think there's definitely some speculation there, but I will say that is a good point that you bring up with Ohio State just kind of being more of a true drop back team than being one of these teams that wants to heavily utilize their quarterback in the run game, especially like we saw the Bears with Justin Fields.
No, yeah, you saw like Justin Fields run for 1,200 yards in the NFL.
Yeah.
Like,
let's move on though, because we got a lot of releases we got to get through.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. First one is Carson Wentz was released by the Washington Commanders. Not something crazy unexpected. He's currently looking at ADP right now. He's quarterback 41 off the board, and that's without the news of him getting released. But I believe that's now the third team he's been on in the past 3 years. So not great for Carson Wentz. Kind of a fall from grace from the time where he was getting some MVP votes just 4 years ago, I believe that was. At this point, I think it's safe to say 3 straight years of kind of failure. It feels like it's over for Carson Wentz.
No, it's not over. It's not, because here's what's going to happen. He's going to be in the position where he's going to be a highly valued backup. I think he's going to have a couple of teams that he's going to be able to pick, like, okay, which team am I going? He's going to be the backup in camp and whatnot, but he gets to choose, like, okay, maybe I can find myself at a team that is drafting a rookie quarterback and be in a QB competition and at least see if I can start out the gate.
That's the scenario I think
he'll be like. You think he'll be like a Trubisky role?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly
Trubisky is currently quarterback. Let's see.
Which is not amazing, but we did see Trubisky climb to prices where you could, in some leagues, get a second for him. You could have, if you were creative, you could have sold him for tangible value. Package Trubisky in a 3 for a second, right? Do something. You could have sold him for something. It was not right now. Carson Wentz, you can't sell him for like anything.
No.
So
no, I do agree with you, Frank. I think the hope, if you have him, is that he ends up in a situation where it's him and a rookie QB, and he'll be starting the first few weeks, and then you try to flip like that trade, the third for literally any second, any year, contender, whatever.
I'm just trying to think of like where that, because I feel like the Colts would have been a good one, but I mean, I feel like burnt bridge with Indy.
I mean, there's Carolina.
Carolina, okay. But is he better than like Sam Darnold?
I think he's better than Sam Darnold.
Like, are they just going to bring in all these quarterbacks?
No, I don't think he goes to Carolina because I think one thing that's interesting that people are sleeping on is Matt Corral. We didn't get to see him last year due to injury. He fell in the draft, but a lot of people, myself included, thought that Matt Corral was a decent prospect. We haven't even seen the shot. And if Carolina gets boned in the draft or something, we could realistically go into the season with a Sam Darnold, Matt Corral quarterback battle.
He's quarterback 36 on Sleeper ADP currently. Matt Corral could be interesting. But,
and I feel like there's going to be a hype train on Matt Corral at some point this offseason where his price increases.
So with that though, or pivoting back, you guys are saying Carson Wentz isn't done. I guess I can get on board that the part where he's like potentially.
I don't think he's going to be like a long-term QB.
Yeah, okay.
I could see him being a bridge quarterback for a rookie.
I just don't see why he wouldn't be in that Teddy Bridgewater tier where he's just a highly valued backup. And honestly, it's going to sound ridiculous, but right now, at whatever I think his price is, he's probably more of a buy than a sell.
Oh, yeah.
You can't tell
I agree with. Yeah, there's no way you're getting it.
Exactly. So you just.
The other part of this news, though, and we talked about him either last week or 2 weeks ago, is Sam Howell. Because Ron Rivera said, Sam Howell is currently not our starter.
Yeah, I saw that earlier today, and I was like, we said to sell him.
Even I, who was like super high on Sam Howell, was like, I can't justify these prices.
Yeah,
and the coach is just saying, this guy's not like he's going to have competition, but he's not our starter right now. Like,
I just love how there's like an alternate universe where there was going to be this like up until the draft conversation of what happens with the Commanders at quarterback and is Sam Howell the guy. I saw it all happening, and then Ron Rivera just took that and just destroyed it.
Yeah, well, it's just like, would you like Sam Howell or what's behind the mystery box? And Ron Rivera's just like, give me the mystery box. Like, all right, I guess we're just done.
Dude, that's rough for Sam Howell. Like the last time we saw this was with my poor fallen soldier Kellen Mond getting crucified by his head coach.
I will say that was worse though, because Zimmer was on.
That was. He
didn't have anything to hide. He was just like, I saw what I needed to. I'm good.
Yeah.
All right, but that's the Commanders in a nutshell. They're still the Commanders, potentially getting sold. Who knows? Maybe not.
Bezos. Yeah.
In other news, though, Marcus Mariota also released, and please, can the Falcons just get a quarterback? For all my Kyle Pitts fandom and Drake London, now I'm climbing aboard that train too. Just get this team a quarterback.
What do you mean? They have Desmond Ridder.
I am not a Desmond Ridder guy.
No.
Keeping with our ADP, he's quarterback 26 on ADP. He's behind.
I think Ridder is a sell.
Purdy.
Oh, he's such a sell.
He's ahead of Jimmy G, Ryan Tannehill, Zach Wilson, Baker Mayfield.
Like you could probably get a second for him right now, right?
I don't know, maybe based off like a Marcus Mariota cut hype,
or maybe like is Ridder someone you can do like Ridder in a 3 for a 2?
That I think you're more apt to do.
I think what I would try to do if I couldn't get picks right now, because picks are just kind of juiced in value. It's a tough time to trade for picks.
It's only going to go up from now until the draft, though.
Yes, I do agree with you there, but you could try to just transition Desmond Ridder into a quarterback that might actually start more than half the season.
Yeah, right.
Where, I mean, this is going to sound crazy, but what's the price difference between him and Jordan Love? If you want your young gamble quarterback,
price is high, especially after
Jordan Love's above him.
We'll talk
but I would rather trade more and get Love than stick with what's his name, Ridder.
Ridder.
Trade him back into Stafford or Tannehill. Yeah, Jordan Love is highly valued. I saw him get traded for like 206 in a league that I'm in.
Yeah, he's decently higher than Desmond Ridder. Oh,
I mean, I'm actually surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Jordan Love trades like decent amount higher than 206, like 201, 202 range, because I mean it's looking more and more like. Oh, I don't want to get ahead of the topic.
No, we can just talk about it right now. Let's just talk about it right now.
Yeah, the next one on the chopping block.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, the Packers and the Aaron Rodgers camp seem to be kind of breaking up here. It sounds like they're getting ready to split. At least that's what signs.
It's like a PR battle.
Okay, so we got to talk about Jordan Love, because this is the big thing. Aaron Rodgers. We all kind of know where he's at. He's going to be that contendery buy where the people are going to be unwilling to sell for that contender second, so you probably have to give a smidge more, but it's somewhere around there is the price.
Yeah.
Jordan Love, on the other hand, the first question, the simplest form is, are you buying or selling?
Is the price 206?
206 is the price. Are you buying or selling?
I'll take 206.
I'd buy a 206.
I'm looking for what the GM said about Jordan Love.
The GM was like saying like he's ready to start.
He's absolutely ready to be a starter, and they've been in regular communication with him and his agent about what's happening. The Packers and Jordan Love.
See, though, the thing is, though, when I say buy Jordan Love at 206, I don't think I'm buying him like kind of in the back of my mind with the intention of like, oh, he's my like now for years QB2. It's more so I do think Rodgers is going to leave, and I think Jordan Love is going to start, and I don't think he's going to be like terrible. I think he'll be okay because they're keeping Aaron Jones. They still have Christian Watson. I'm sure they'll add another weapon, and I think he'll be decent enough to where you can flip him later on. I just think his value, like I don't know, 8 months from now, is going to be higher than 206. And that's
this is truly a ballsy play.
Yeah.
Like
my problem with that is, can we all agree that like current level Aaron Rodgers is still better than Jordan Love? Like,
that's why you can bench him.
So that's my issue. Is like current level Aaron Rodgers with that Packers team was only giving you like 15 points a game, if that. So
yeah, but like,
what's Jordan Love doing?
I think one of the issues that we need to take into account is that receiving core was in such a transition year. Like Sammy Watkins just wasn't able to play in that offense. He was making too many mistakes. Christian Watson for half the season wasn't able to play. Dobbs was injured and kind of played like shit, and his confidence was down. Lazard was like okay. Tanyan was bad. AJ Dillon was bad. Like there was just a lot of arrows pointing down for young players that it might not be like that next season.
I mean, I think now the arrow for Christian Watson, based off like how he ended the season, is pointing up. I think he was
the entire offense was kind of pointing up. They started just committing to the run game, and that paid dividends, right? Let's not completely have the offense. It's Aaron Rodgers or we die.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, it was limited game time, but like he played at Philadelphia Sunday night, and he wasn't bad. Like, listen, it's such a limited sample size, so we can only do so much with it. But I thought he had looked better than the year before. He's been the one throwing to these rookie receivers last training camp before they became starters, between Dobbs and Christian Watson. I think he's like, can I tell you right now he's a franchise quarterback? No, of course not. But do I think and I think Rodgers is going to leave. So assuming that, do I think his price by like mid-season next year is going to be higher than this year's right now, 206? Yes. That's what I tell you. I think you will get a positive return. And then from there, you have to make the right decision. Because if you keep him for too long and then he ends up kind of like tailing off a bit, sure. But how old is he? Like 24, 25? 24. Like if a 24 quarterback is playing like just like half all right, like their value goes up. And that's kind of the idea I have with it. So while I do say I'd buy Jordan Love at 206, I'd be looking to like flip it for more value after I see his value go up. It's not one of those things where I'm committing to.
So one of the things that's tripping me up with Jordan Love is that I've never really been a fan of Jordan Love. I think that he was kind of an overdrafted prospect. But when you kind of just look at it from a market perspective, I actually think that 206, you can make an argument, is not enough to give up for him, because last year he was gaining hype with Rodgers speculation. His price was, generally speaking, a mid-second. The year before, I'm pretty sure there was Love hype. Maybe that's because he was still a youngish player, and I feel like the price was once again a mid-second. Now we have legitimate reason to believe, and he's probably the favorite to be the Packer starter next year, and his price is a mid-early second. I just think that he should cost a little bit more.
Anyways, I think he's going to get to the point. If you acquired him right now for 206, I think there'll be a point within the next, I'll say 8-ish months, that you can flip him in a trade where you give up like, not like a 201 or something, but like a mid-second with him and be able to get a first.
Because, like, realistically,
if not just a first straight,
compare Kenny Pickett to Jordan Love. Like, are you like much more reasonably confident in like Kenny Pickett panning out long term compared to Jordan Love? I feel like their risk is, all things considered, about the same.
But I think
and aren't they the same age? Oh no, Kenny Pickett is 23. Kenny Pickett is 23. Okay.
I think
listen, there are external factors that I think give Kenny Pickett a slight edge. I'm not saying that Kenny Pickett should be like less valued than Jordan Love, but that does. I think that the disparity between the two, the fact that Kenny Pickett is clearly, according to the ADP, worth a late first round pick. With I think people like, there might even be people that would be willing to pay more of like street, bumping towards the middle a little bit, right?
Like a 108. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like, like a 109, 108 or whatnot.
There are people who would. Yeah.
So Jordan Love for 206, I like 206. I think I like the players more than I like Jordan Love, but I want him to be higher priced just so I can be like, okay, now the price is too high. The price is not too high yet.
Who would you rather have, though, Derek Carr or Jordan Love? Just on your team, regardless of whether you're building a contender.
Is Derek Carr's value right now at 206?
They're equal. Derek Carr and Jordan Love are exactly the same.
Fuck.
I feel like you're asking, like, it's like a conundrum of, okay, do I have $1,000 and I just want to light it on fire. Do I do it the slow way by drinking myself to death, or do I just go to the casino and just start going crazy? I could go to the Jordan Love casino, or I could just be like, okay, fine, I'll get Derek Carr. I'll have my average points per game, my mid QB2.
Yeah, my gut reaction is to say Carr because I know what he's gonna be, but like, I don't know, the prospect of the fact that like Jordan Love is that much younger as he is, it's not gonna take a whole ton for his value to go up. We see how the Dynasty community overreacts to young players playing well, and this will be like his first actual chance as a starter, entering training camp as a starter. So,
yeah, but like, let me put it this way. If Derek Carr signs with the Jets, his value is also going to have a big boost. Like, he's going to have Garrett Wilson. He's going to have, I guess, Elijah Moore, Corey Davis.
I mean, I guess.
He's going to have a good team built around him. He's going to be a starter of a team. He's currently ranked like quarterback 20th, right next to Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see a boost in his value. I don't know.
Yeah, for him to just do the same thing he always does. It's going to be just the same bullshit in a new uniform.
Yeah, no, that's where I agree. You're trading for in a world separate from where my only two options are Jordan Love and Derek Carr. Obviously, I'd rather just take an equal talent, an equal value in terms of like picks or something, or a better player that I want, like, or in my eyes, a better player. But when we're just looking at these two and kind of trying to narrow down and look at the scope of quarterbacks, I don't know if I'd be willing to put my chips on the Jordan Love table at this Jordan Love casino, like you're saying, Frank. I think I'd rather just fight another day with the Derek Carr casino. But chat saying...
Yeah, let's see what chat's saying.
Chat saying, why wouldn't I bet the first round talent is good? Well, not all first round talents are created equal. We've done this study before, but NFL quarterbacks, like, you want them drafted in the first. If they're drafted in the first round, you want them drafted in the first 15 picks. Because if I could pull up the QB draft history right now, obviously there's
22.
Yeah, obviously there's like what's his face, Lamar Jackson, who was outside top 15. But like, all right, we had Jordan Love in 2020. Dwayne Haskins was who we were looking at in 2019 as like the later first rounder. Then you do have the Lamar Jackson in your favor. But then after that, you don't have like Paxton Lynch is the next guy we're looking at, who is pick 26, very comparable to Jordan Love. Like, why would you bet on Paxton Lynch? You know, you could be saying the same thing there. Let's see. Brandon Whedon was pick 22, the same pick as Jordan Love. Right, I just don't think, looking at the Christian Ponder was the 12th pick in the draft. The Tim Tebow's the 25th pick in the draft. I'm sure Johnny Manziel was around there. Yeah, I could keep going. Josh Freeman,
number one QB. Like,
yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of just like that. But all right, exactly. Carr will have weapons, and he's proven. And Love wouldn't have weapons, is what chat's saying. I mean, this is the Christian Watson guy, so it's kind of it's hard to talk to. I don't know. I was trying to contend. I don't take high risk unless I have two.
The Jets do have more weapons, but I don't think the Packers' weapons are like slouches. Aaron Jones is still very good receiving back and running back, and I believe in Christian Watson.
I always try to contend. I don't take high risks. I mean, to be honest, Skull, what's funny is that I feel like I'm usually that guy as well, but in this case, like, I feel like Derek Carr is so average at best that I'd rather just take the risk because I can get a cheaper average player than Derek Carr. I think especially when he changes teams, his price is going to go up for absolutely zero fucking reason. But I honestly think that, like, his ceiling is being QB 12. His ceiling is being like an average quarterback, like a slightly above average quarterback.
Yes,
and you are going to be paying around that price for him.
Yes, Love got picked late, but you don't want to take the bet the quarterback that was getting Mahomes / A-Rod comps might produce. I don't know where you're seeing those comps.
Explode. You're going to make
first. I don't know where you're seeing those comps. Like, send in a link to those comps first off. Second off, like, if he was Mahomes / Aaron Rodgers, why were they throwing $50 million at Aaron Rodgers? Why not just trade Aaron Rodgers and like recoup value that way? Why are we sticking with 39-year-old Aaron Rodgers? That doesn't make sense to me. I don't know.
I love this rivalry between. I really hope I'm not butchering this name.
Shadrach is how I'd say it. Shadrach?
I'm going to say Shadrach.
Shadrach.
I love this rivalry between Shadrach and JT.
Well, I think he's a Packers fan.
It's heated, and I'm here for it.
It's just a Packers fan who's helmet scouting, and it's you can't. I don't know.
Play style comps, not pedigree. Yeah, no, we're talking about play style comps. Was that a thing?
I mean, dude, you can get comps to everyone. Like, listen, I think he's right. I think there are people competent to Mahomes. Like,
there may, maybe, no. I know the big thing with Jordan Love was like he has like a huge arm. He can move a little bit. I remember wrong with not remembering the Mahomes comps, but I do get you in terms of physical traits. He's there in that sense. It's more so just everything after that. But again, I'm someone who's pro trading for Jordan Love at 206.
Did Tim Boyle not get the nod over Jordan Love? Like, did he not start a game for?
He started games before this, the past season. It was like an ugly one against Kansas City. He didn't play great.
I'm still going to take 206. But I'm taking
above all else, I'd rather 206. Above all else, I'd want 206.
Before we switch to the next topic, quick, this dude, Dad, 30, Superflex 12-team PPR, star 10. Would you trade Judy or DJ Moore for 110? He would have picks 108, 109, and 110, or just hold the players. I would definitely hold DJ Moore.
Judy, yes, I'd trade. DJ Moore, no, I wouldn't.
If he's trying to win this year,
I think I'm holding both Judy and DJ.
I think Moore. I lean towards holding both. If the pick 110 comes and that offer is still on the table and a guy you like has kind of fallen in the draft a little bit, I'd reconsider.
You want to know what I'm considering?
What?
Can you flip 110 for a better receiver than Judy?
Ooh, yeah.
So
like if you're going to contend this year, can I trade 110 for a Devontae Adams or something?
Well, let's look at this ADP.
I don't know. Are you getting Devontae Adams for 110?
Probably not. I probably have to give a little bit more, but someone good. Like, can you just get a better receiver than Jerry Jeudy?
Yeah, if you're trying to win now, what do you think about like how much? This is probably overpaying for him, so maybe I get something back. But like Amari Cooper.
So you'd go from you'd probably want to pick up like a second back or something, but I'm not.
This is interesting.
But, I mean, I like the Amari Cooper buy. If you're content, I think Deshaun will be better next season, and he'll be playing the full year. And Amari Cooper is the undisputed number one on that team.
Based on the ADP I'm looking at, though, Jerry Jeudy's got the ADP of 6.01, while pick 10 has 7.08. Interesting. DJ Moore 6.09. So he's ranked.
I'm definitely keeping DJ Moore. I lean towards both, but I'm with Frank where it's like if you can trade Jeudy for 110 and then get a different receiver that you like, especially since you're trying to win, then yeah, I'd look at that. So look at 3-team deal options, but definitely don't trade DJ Moore for 110.
The problem I have with trading Jeudy because I agree with you with DJ Moore. I honestly think that DJ Moore has like legitimate top 5 receiver upside. He's just been a little bit unfortunate the past couple of years.
Top 10. Yeah.
I honestly think that he's just as talented as any of the not like superstar crazy receivers. So yeah, maybe not top 5, but yeah, top 10. Okay, we'll give top 10. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb. I think he's basically as talented as CeeDee Lamb is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy, I also think is like pretty accurately priced, all things considered. With the Sean Payton boost, he became relatively accurately priced. And at 110, I'm just not sure I'm getting a player of the prospect level that Jerry Jeudy was, unless it's one of those tight ends, probably, if they get picked in the first round. So, like, is that a move that I really want to do? Because we just went through, right? We went through the top 8 earlier. So let's say 3 quarterbacks, one of them being Richardson. So you have Richardson, Bryce Young, Stroud. I think all go before right now. Give me 2 running backs with Gibbs and Bijan. 3 receivers, the top 3, and then put Zay Flowers number 4. So then you have
Levis could be in that conference depending on his draft capital.
So yeah, right now at this pick, then we're picking between Will Levis, which is not a bad at 110. That's not bad value at all. Will Levis, Josh Downs, Jalen Hyatt, and then our running back 3. So that'd be like Charbonnet, A-Chain, and we can realistically think that whatever one of these guys goes into the second round at a really good landing spot is their ADP is going to go through the roof.
Yeah.
Compared to Jeudy. Fuck, that's close, dude. That is close.
I'd hop off.
I still am of the opinion if I could, I would see 3-team trade options to see who's a win now receiver you can get for the value of 110. And flipping Jeudy to that team that has 110 to the team with the win now receiver, and you getting the win now receiver. Especially since that you're not building. And I don't know. I mean, you said you had 108 and 109. Maybe you could try to see if instead of sending out 110, you send out like 108. I don't know. But I'd look into that. But definitely don't trade DJ Moore. That's the number one thing I can say for 110.
Well, he's going to try and win this year. So the other thing I'm thinking about is that if you do this trade, you could just do the classic, okay, then I'll use whatever second round picks I have to go and scoop up the undervalued Tyler Lockett's or whoever's of the world that we.
Or if you're trying to win now, you get 110, you package that with 108 and get like a beast.
Don't hate it.
Get like a really good win now piece.
I'm not trying to trade.
Yeah, I don't know though because I think
he still also has 109. He's 3 first if he does this.
Yeah, but I just think that if you load up and take 3 players, like 2 on average, like 2 of them are going to hit.
2 of them will pan out.
And now, like next year, you have a realistic chance of selling those players for more.
That's a good point. That's actually, I agree with Frank.
I'm just gonna move us along though.
So
Speaking
JT's saying take the 110. Lounis is saying take the 110 as well for Judy.
Only if you can flip it for a good win now receiver that you like. Otherwise, just keeping 110. I think Judy's gonna have a pretty good year next year. So I think it's dependent. If you can pull in a nice 3-team trade.
I think I'm keeping Judy. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I'm going to keep Judy. I would be more inclined to do that if I do a move beforehand where I trade for a Brandon Cooks or I trade for whatever second round ish player that I can pick up to score me points. One of those non-sexy veterans.
I like the Godwin buy.
All right,
I don't know how this is going to be, but yeah.
All right. Pour one out for Lounis as Kenny Golladay is now expected to get released. It's not going to happen today. They're going to wait until the league New Year starts for cap reasons. So March 15th, we should all see Kenny Golladay getting released. I talked about it in we have a little group chat that they're inviting people. I just found it interesting, kind of a case study of Kenny Golladay, because this is a guy who
so good in Detroit.
He was a wide receiver 2 in his second year, and then in his third year in the league, he was a wide receiver 1, and now he's getting cut by a team that signed him for a giant contract just 2 years ago. It's just he's done nothing since. He was barely played the past 2 years. It's a crazy case study to me of Kenny Golladay.
Yeah, because it's not even like a receiver that like disappointed. Like he wasn't like he was like unplayable the final 2 years. It's like it's not just like disappointing. Like I couldn't put a reason on it. I have no idea. Especially with how good. Like I remember at one point after I think his second season or something, he was like wide receiver 9. He was like a top 12 dynasty receiver. At some point when he was in Detroit, I think after his second season, which was his best one. His last season in Detroit, he had some injury issues, but the games he played, he was still productive. Like I remember having him that year. Like he was out a lot of the season, which was annoying, but when he did play, he was still putting up points. And then since he went to the Giants, it's just been like a shit show.
I don't know what happened to his hands, because I feel like he was never one of those receivers that really had that element to beat you, like routing people up, or I mean, he had that contested catch ability, right? Really great body control, and kind of like a Brandon Ayuk, he had those long ass arms, so he was able to kind of just body you out and make these nice catches either with his body or with his hands, and he just started dropping everything. So yeah, I think all in all, he's cooked.
Yeah, he was wide receiver 7. As of
he was wide receiver 7. Yeah, I remember he was
all the way through August. He was wide receiver 7, August 2020, and now 2.5 years later, he's wide receiver 161 and falling. Like I don't know, probably not going to have another chance. Another player that was
hold on real quick. Will Levis goes to Carolina. Anthony Richardson goes to Detroit. Who do y'all take first in Superflex? What pick is that? Like pick 5 for Detroit? What pick do they have?
No. Let me look up.
They got the Rams pick.
Yeah, they do have the Ram pick.
I'm assuming they take with the Rams pick.
Which pick is an important indicator, but I think regardless, I lean Richardson.
The Rams.
If Richardson goes top 10, I'm taking Richardson.
So the Lions have the 6th pick from the Rams.
Yeah, if he goes pick 6, give me Richardson. I don't give a fuck if he plays or not.
Yeah.
He's not going to, but yeah. I don't know. We'll talk about Anthony Richardson in a little bit. He's
we will
be one of our prospects. We'll break him down a little further. All right, Leonard Fournette also released.
Cooked or no?
Cooked.
No. I think he gets a role. I don't think he gets anything like I don't think he gets
is it a role where like he will be playable in the flex next year in fantasy?
I think it'll be like what Rashad Penny was like lining up to be this year before he broke his leg.
I don't even know if it's gonna be that good.
Well, then I feel like you should be buying him in your leagues then, because this guy, I think he's the most trade blocked player I've ever seen, because I think he's on the trade block in every league that I'm in. I'm not joking, every league.
I'm trying to think, who's the most trade block player? It might be Jerry Jeudy.
Jerry Jeudy's up there.
And I mean, if you looked at his price on Keep Trade Cut, it's just been sinking like a rock.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say this wasn't unexpected, right? Because I mean, this is very clearly a Tampa team that is entering a rebuilding phase. They kind of went all in. They got their championship. And now what are they going to do with a 28-year-old Leonard Fournette on their team? So I don't know. Like, if you're telling me like a late third, we're going to talk about how we rate third round picks. You're telling me a late third or Leonard Fournette on a team where I could use that kind of depth? I think I'd take Leonard Fournette. I'd take Leonard Fournette.
I would have to see the landing spot. That's
I feel like you want to get him before the landing spot, though, because right now...
No, you do if you believe in him.
Yes.
I don't...
My argument right now for Leonard Fournette, and the only reason I'm even pondering trading for this guy, because I honestly kind of agree that I think he's got it cooked. If I can get him as one of those pieces in a trade where the other guy giving up a third round pick is just too much to make the trade even, right? Like he just won't accept it, the offer. Instead, I can replace that third with a Leonard Fournette. And I think that's much more attractive to someone receiving an offer where they're actually getting tangible value for instead not having to give that third. Well, realistically, I feel like I'm getting Leonard Fournette for less than a third round pick. And to me, that's an attractive situation.
I agree with what Skull's saying in chat. I'll take Lenny for a third. What the hell, more running back depth. That's kind of where I'm coming from it too, where like we've seen like the cases of like Latavius Murray last year, who you could have traded for a third. Like there's always those kind of players.
I want to bring up one thing quick. How do you guys think Rachaad White's going to do next season?
Don't care.
I think he's a bait, man. I would be looking to sell off this news. Listen, this could be another Ramondre Stevenson where I sell a guy for 2 seconds and he ends up being like a league-winning running back. But I'm just going to err on the side of like, dude, Rachaad White's profile, at least in my opinion, is not that of just like one of these ultra talented backs. Like, okay, maybe he has a good season or two, but I think in the long run, and now with this news, his price might be creeping up to a late first.
Yeah, but prior to this news, he was running back 20. J.K. Dobbins is running back 17. I'd much rather hitch my horse to J.K. Dobbins.
J.K. Dobbins, but I also think J.K. Dobbins is just underrated. But I don't know, maybe one of those things where like I think you might be able to sell for higher value once, because I don't see them if they're gonna kind of rebuild. Drafting a running back early or like paying for running back in free agency, he's going to get all the opportunity in the world. I think you could sell for more value once like the game starts.
Rachaad White versus Deontay Johnson.
Take Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, I'll take Deontay as well. I mean, I agree with School. What he's saying, which I sell Rachaad White for. I think trying to get one of those receivers, Deontay, Hollywood, like there's this crop of receivers that I really like. But to be honest, I would just flip him into Dotson if I could. I think that he's one of those receivers placed around there. I know JT's going to disagree with me, but I'd rather bet on Dotson profile than Rachaad White.
Yeah, before
that, though, I would mass offer this dude out for every future first round pick in my league.
Yeah,
I'm forgetting first.
Yeah, I don't think. Listen, I don't think I'm getting it. I don't think you're getting it.
Would you do?
But guess what? I'm going to find out.
What, Liz?
Would you do Rachaad White in a second for a first?
Probably. I think you could just get a better deal trading for a receiver.
Then including a second. Yeah. I think I agree. Because I was going to say, I don't know if I would do that second and Rachaad White for the first.
What, are you saying like Rachaad White plus a 2024 second for a 2024 first?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the pick. I
mean, you're moving, assuming you're moving it to the same person, like you're going to be moving up 12 spots. Would you be willing to trade Rachaad White to move up 12 spots? That could be from 101 to 201, or 201 to 101, or 112 to 212. I just think the hype is going to build a little bit on Rachaad White, where I don't think you necessarily have to do that.
Yeah, I think you'll be able to sell at a higher price in the future than you would right now, even with this news.
I think
he's going to get a ton of touches.
So here's the thing: like,
is he though?
This Tampa Bay team isn't necessarily set up to go out and just get a running back, but like, who's to say they just don't? Like, there's just any team could go.
I don't think it would make zero sense if they would.
They can compete. Any team in the NFC South can compete right now and make the playoffs.
I think we've gone full. You think they're competing with Kyle Trask?
No, I don't know who their quarterback's going to be. But any team right now, look at the entire landscape of the NFC South and tell me, like, you feel confident in.
I mean, if they sound a different QB, it's different. But I mean, it seems like
the best quarterback in that conference right now or in that division right now is Sam Darnold, Matt Corral.
Oh my God.
Like, here's who you have, right? You have Kyle Trask, you have Sam Darnold / Matt Corral, you have
DJ Walker.
I don't know who the Saints quarterback is currently. Is it Andy Dalton? Is it Jameis Winston? Is it I don't know who. And then you have who am I missing? Desmond Ridder. That's the current quarterback landscape in the NFC South.
Might be Ridder.
Ridder is the best quarterback.
I just think you let this news marinate a little bit. You mass offer out for that first round pick. I pulled up the ADP. By the way, if you haven't checked out this site, that dude that we've mentioned a couple times, a Dieko or something. I don't know how to say his name. But yeah, he made this new site that is like fucking insane. It's bulletproof with 3 Fs. You should go check it out. According to the ADP that he's gained from Sleeper, this is 12-team Superflex Titan Premium Leagues. He's right next to this 112. And the fact that Cam Akers is up here is crazy to me as well, with Pacheco in them. But I think that Rachaad White in most leagues is valued higher than Cam Akers, higher than D-Hop, higher than Pacheco, and more around this crop here, around the Dotson, Geno Smith, Joe Mixon. I think there's a lot of people that would much rather have Rachaad White over Joe Mixon right now, and they would say that they would be winning that trade by a landslide. I just think that up until the draft, I feel like you're in a position of leverage. He's a young, good running back, at least in other people's eyes, that is trending up and has the backfield to himself. That commands a decent price. So yeah, like I think that I would be much rather to do the Rachaad White and a third for a first. But dude, you offer I would just offer him out for every future first, like straight up. I don't think I honestly not sure you need the third to get that done.
You might, I don't know. I'm just so low on Rachaad White that maybe I'm too negative towards it. Maybe you can get a first for him.
But like I just, from the hype that I've seen, and this is his price before this news, right? This news is not baked in yet. Like, he's gonna jump Cam Akers, he's gonna jump Pacheco. Joe Mixon's gonna be a guy that's gonna be falling like a rock. He's
already ahead of both those because it's Snake.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so he's behind. Dalvin Cook is like the first running back he's behind.
That's another dude that, like, I think there's a good amount of people around. Yeah. So like these older players, like I honestly think that Rachaad White's worth more than those players. So, but okay, so back. What about the draft though? Because I would be looking to get a trade done before the draft if possible. Do you think there's a chance that Tampa Bay drafts a running back?
I mean, if they do, it shouldn't be with like a high pick, right? Because it's just like, what are you doing with, I don't know, Jahmyr Gibbs on your team right now? Mm-hmm. I guess like if you can get a quarterback and everything, but this team has a lot of holes on, like, their offensive line was seriously injured. Their defense took a big step back from where they were when they won the Super Bowl. I'd say it's more likely than not that they don't draft like a running back that's going to take Rachaad White's job. But I'm also not willing to say Rachaad White's going to get like a full 3-down role, where at what he's currently ranked, he's kind of amongst guys that have 3-down roles. Like Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, J.K. Dobbins, Wood, Damian Pierce basically did. The only one really above him that didn't have a 3-down role was Tony Pollard, and I guess DeAndre Swift. So that's taking a big bet on Rachaad White for me, regardless of whether or not.
And even if that bet pans out, look at Ramondre Stevenson's price. How much more is Ramondre Stevenson than a random first-round pick? It's like about his. I think he's a smidge more.
He's currently running back 12. He's actually in line with pick 106 though, according to ADP.
Okay, so yeah, it's a little bit higher than I thought.
You're telling me Daniel Jones is really worth 106? I mean, that's what the ADP says. The ADP, but that's
no.
Yeah. All right, who knows?
I think those picks are a smidge undervalued on that. That's what it seems like right now. I think we see that rise because 106, man. Like you're talking about Addison versus what's his name?
Daniel Jones.
Yeah,
Jackson
Daniel Jones. Feels like that rookie hype is not fully baked in. Kyle Trask or Tanner McKee. I'm just gonna go with Kyle Trask simply because I don't think Tanner McKee gets. I think he'd be lucky to get day 2 capital. All right. Derek Carr meets with Saints, Panthers, and Jets.
Yep. So I'm just going to assume that's the team he's going to sign with, right? Like one of those 3 teams is who he's signing with. Just feels like that.
Is that all he's met with or meeting with?
Believe so. I don't know if he has more.
It feels like the Jets just is like such a match made in heaven.
Right? That's what I think.
Like, I just feel like the ideal offseason is like Derek Carr to the Jets, and then Jimmy G goes to the Saints, and then the Panthers just stick it out with their trash cans, and then everyone's happy. Except for the Panthers fans.
The only thing that I think gets in the way of it, I think, is like the Jets still could go in on Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
Trade for Aaron Rodgers. Then Carr, I'd say, goes to the Saints. I think Carr would go to the Saints before he goes to the Panthers.
Yeah, but you really think Aaron Rodgers, after spending all that time in his hut, wants to go from one LaFleur to another? Oh, wait, no, they fired that LaFleur. Never mind. Yeah, he's chilling.
Yeah.
He'd be with Nathaniel Hackett, his old pal. Yeah. So, yeah, they could go and get Rodgers. I don't know. I feel like no matter where he goes, Derek Carr is just going to get massively overhyped just because he's changing teams. Where it's like, you look at the past Raiders teams he's been on, I really don't think the situation improves. He's had good teams. I don't see all of a sudden he goes to a new team and it's like, shit, we've unlocked the Derek Carr that's been there all along. Like, top 10 quarterback numbers. Like,
I think he's always been overvalued in Dynasty, just from the lens of like, oh, he's just he's stable, like you're gonna get whatever. But it's just that, to me, it's not exciting. It's not getting me wins. He's not like a stable quarterback 1. He's a stable like mid to low end quarterback 2. It's just not.
I almost feel like he got Daniel Jones at one point a couple years ago, where he had that one like very good season and then like a season or 2 of mediocrity, and then everyone's like, oh, we're giving up on Derek Carr, we need to replace him. And then he comes out, has a couple like above average seasons. And now everyone's like, oh, the above average seasons are here to stay. And they're projecting Derek Carr to have another 3-4 years of above average seasons. I think that's a ceiling case. And even then, like that is the price. You know, you were paying for a lot of above average seasons. So with the wildness of the NFL and the fact that, like, I like Derek Carr, I really don't think he's a top 16 quarterback in the league. No. I don't know. I think this is just like bad vibes. the team that gets him is going to be the off-season Super Bowl winner, and I don't want to be invested in that. I'm selling off the news.
Are you really the off-season Super Bowl winner if you get Derek Carr? Like, that's you.
If he goes to the Jets, those Jets fans are going to be going freaking bonkers. The Jets have a better wide receiver group than the Raiders, but we all know the Jets will jet.
Well, here's the thing. Derek Carr is a better quarterback for the Jets since Brett Favre, like the best quarterback.
Ryan Fitzpatrick that one year was really good for him.
I guess, yeah. Are you saying Derek Carr is worse than what Ryan Fitzpatrick was?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing, just wrapped up in a new package, and here you go.
Yeah, except the gritty, moxie Ryan Fitzpatrick compared to like the emo Derek Carr is a weird switch.
I don't know. I think that the Jets wide receivers, like, yes, I love Garrett Wilson. He's a phenomenal player. But just because they have Garrett Wilson, I don't think all of a sudden means that the Jets have this like ridiculously amazing receiving core. Like Elijah Moore is a wild card.
I think Corey Davis is a very good third wide receiver.
Isn't Corey Davis going to be a free agent this year?
That might be true. Let me see. Corey Davis contract.
The Jets' offensive line is actually pretty good when healthy, but that just hasn't been the case ever. Breece Hall's good, but I don't really see a world where the Jets' offense is so good that they prop up Derek Carr's numbers from what they were before. I really don't think their offense is at that level. I mean, dude, with Garrett Wilson last year, their last 3 games, they averaged 5 points a game. Like, that was fucking horrible.
Breece is essentially a receiver as well. I mean, he's not like a Breece Hall. I like Breece Hall a lot, but he's not like a Austin Eckler type. He's still very good. Corey Davis is also signed through 2023. Like he's on the team this year. I like it's a solid team. It's just I'd still rather put my chips. I'm still putting my chips there.
When you see that 201 price tag on Derek Carr,
at that point I'm see you.
I'm not paying that. Fuck that. Give me Ryan Tannehill for half the price.
Agreed. Although I have not liked what the Titans' new GM is saying.
I didn't like it either, but is it really that much worse than what they've been?
That's what I'm saying. But I was kind of hoping that they'd be taking a strategic shift from just their running.
Didn't he say when he first got hired that like, oh, we're going to throw the ball more? Now he's like, we have to run the ball. Like, I don't know.
That's why I don't know. Maybe it's all smoke and mirrors.
I mean, this is just all off-season horse shit. Like, all this stuff is it's just words. It's all just words. All right, I put the prospects in front of so I wanted to get into, we got 2 prospects to break down. We got Deuce Vaughn, Anthony Richardson. Going to have a conversation about these guys. Let's just start off with Deuce Vaughn. To me, before I haven't fully finished watching Deuce Vaughn, but I'm like for the most part done, so I'm just gonna get takes out of the way now. I was very excited about Deuce Vaughn as a potential buy low opportunity. You look at the numbers, it's crazy production, especially like when you look at it, the age adjusted production for Deuce Vaughn, it's very fantastic. He's definitely in that threshold of top 24 fantasy running backs, but then you look at the measurables and you're like, okay, I have a 5'6", like 170 running back. Haven't seen that one really before. Watch the film, and I hate to say it, but I probably just am not going to be drafting Deuce Vaughn. Simply put, I think that the big concern I have about Deuce Vaughn is that he doesn't have that power that I feel like a lot of the undersized running backs have. Like, it just doesn't exist. Once these bigger defenders get their hands on him and corral him, he's kind of screwed. And then on top of that, when I watched that Oklahoma State game in particular, that what's his name? Kansas State offense was doing a really good job of doing these wham blocks all game, creating these massive holes. And Deuce Vaughn just wasn't really able to make enough of a difference on the second level. Yeah, he was ripping off nice 10, 12-yard runs, but like it was these crazy gaps. And I felt like a lot of that was because that Oklahoma State defense had a lot of these lanky, athletic corners and defensive backs that they were able to kind of sit on their heels, wait for Deuce Vaughn to do his jump cut because that's kind of his move. And then because they're so lanky, corral him. Deuce Vaughn doesn't have enough power to like really threaten them with power. Whereas I feel like an Austin Eckler, if you're sitting on your heels waiting for Austin Eckler to make a move, he has the power. If he puts his shoulder pad in your neck, he's going to truck you.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're remembering that every run of the game, right? Deuce Vaughn doesn't have that. And I just don't think he offers enough speed to be a true, I'm going to have like no real contact as part of my game type player. So from a fantasy perspective, I think he's a fun player. They did some really cool stuff with him in the passing game, especially. But all in all, I don't think he's the outlier of fantasy production for his size. I don't think he's that player. So I'm probably just not going to be investing in him. But I'm curious as if you guys disagree with that and you do like Deuce Vaughn.
I don't disagree. I think he's going to go pretty low in the NFL draft. As you mentioned, like his size. I don't really think he can run between the tackles well. And the thing is like what you mentioned, the passing game, I think he can be a good receiving back. But the problem with that also is like he can't pass block. And I know I'm like always like the pass block guy and I'll get shit for that. But I think that matters for rookie running backs who are trying to get on the field on those third down plays. Because it prevents guys from getting there. So I think that's something that's hindering him. And I'm not going to repeat a lot of the same points that you made, Frank. I agree with the assessment that you gave.
What's frustrating though is that as a pure runner, his vision and his feel and his awareness is actually really good.
It is.
I just wish I had that.
Good at breaking tackles.
Yeah, I mean, his jump cut is fantastic. He's got a nice spin move. He's got a fantastic jump cut. His vision is just really good. He's able to see defenders out of the peripherals. He's able to process runs pretty quickly. I just wish I got that Kenneth Gainwell aspect to him where Kenneth Gainwell's small. He's listed small, but the dude just runs so hard for a small guy that he's able to play and get consistent touches in the NFL. It's not crazy. I'm not saying that Kenneth Gainwell is a fantastic player or anything, but he's able to play. So and Kenneth Gainwell's not even a hit. So Deuce Vaughn, I think he's like a worse runner, but more polished than Kenneth Gainwell. What about Nyheim Hines? Like, is Nyheim Hines a better runner? And these guys aren't even hits. And this is what I think he needs to get to. It just
That's
doesn't work out.
Like, I was really thinking of the exact same Kenneth Gainwell comparison. When I go and watch him, I was like, you're kind of hoping he can be Gainwell, but then like, what's Gainwell fantasy wise?
Yeah. So where I'm coming from this is when I'd like wake up and I watch like College Game Day or whatever, and Pat McAfee's on, and I feel like almost every week Pat McAfee was just hyping up Deuce Vaughn, and I was always like, well, what am I missing? Like, what is so great about Deuce Vaughn? Like, granted, he was like a good college running back, right? But Pat McAfee was always like, oh, he's going to get to the next level and everything. He's going to be good there. I just don't see it. I mean, this is where Tinder Girl JT kind of hops in and says 5'6", 176. Like, when have we seen really running backs be successful at that height and weight? Like, Darren Sproles was 5'6", but he was also like 190 pounds. Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, and I think Darren Sproles did a little bit of a better job threatening defenders in space. And just like, you know, one of the things that the speed backs have, that it's really fucking hard to do this because you have to be so efficient with your cuts and you have to see the field astronomically well. You cannot choose the wrong direction and have this thing work out. If he's one of those dudes that was able to see alleys, hit it, and just be faster than everyone, I think that's a different story, right? At that point, you can be an outlier because no one can fucking catch you, and you have really good vision, and you can see the fucking gaps in the alleys, right? Like that to me is what Chris Johnson was. You know, he was able to threaten a defender's leverage. One cut, a guy takes half a false step, and he's gone. Boom, done. See it. Doesn't need to be a powerful running back. he has a little bit of power to his game. That's why he's a fantastic running back. But one cut, one alley, boom, gone. Deuce Vaughn's not that, and to me, he needs to be that to be a good NFL running back, like fantasy wise, right? If he wants to be one of these top 12 running backs in the league, to me, that's what he's got to turn into.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's dreaming a little bit.
I'd agree.
So, and it sucks because I wanted to like Deuce Vaughn. He's one of these running backs like I wanted to like. I love the numbers. I think he's a fun player. But I can't bet on him, but I will be rooting for him. All right, now let's get into Anthony Richardson. I will surmise my opinion of Anthony Richardson, and I will let Lounis go on his tirade. I think Anthony Richardson is just what everyone thought Josh Allen was. And even then, he's just a worse prospect than Josh Allen.
That's fair. Josh Allen won what pick?
Like 7 or 9 or something.
Let me pull that up quick.
7th. He's 7th.
7. Okay.
And I just that's my issue. There we go.
So there's a couple things with Anthony, unless there's anything else you want to say.
No, I'll let you go.
I'll ask a couple. Is he the most talented quarterback in this draft class, in your opinion?
No.
Who do you think is more talented than him?
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young is more talented than
Yes.
Anthony Richardson to you. I think Bryce Young is a better quarterback, and I think Bryce Young should go ahead of him.
I just don't know what talent means. Like, define talent.
Okay. We'll go in terms of the type of throws a quarterback can make, their athleticism. I'm not going to put size too much into it, even though obviously Anthony
that's part of it. That's part of talent. I'll give you size. Yeah, put size in there.
Anthony Richardson's 6'4", big QB, and obviously Bryce Young's 5'9", 5'10". He's my height. It's and then the type of throws, I think Anthony Richardson can make throws that Bryce Young can't in terms of just arm strength and being able to throw at certain angles. And then obviously athleticism, Anthony Richardson is a better athlete.
That's where I'm going to disagree with you, is that I think that Bryce Young makes throws that Anthony Richardson doesn't make. Right? I just think that Bryce Young not only anticipates far better than Anthony Richardson, I just think that I get throws from Bryce Young that Anthony Richardson will not see and will not do. I just think that Bryce Young, I love his pocket presence, his pocket movement. He's cool, calm, and collected, and he just makes throws all over the fucking field.
Okay, that's right. Again, I think Richardson's the most talented QB. Where do you think Richardson should go in the first draft?
I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't. I was harsher on Anthony Richardson than I probably should have been, because I looked into his film a little bit more, and there actually was some things that I definitely liked. That being said, I'm still not in on Anthony Richardson. I would not pick him in the top 10. I would 100% not pick him in the top 10. Yeah, but at that point, if I don't think he's a top 10 prospect as a quarterback, it's well, then why am I going to spend a first round pick on him in general?
That happens sometimes. If he goes in the first round,
why not just fill a different hole at that point, or pick a different quarterback?
For me, I think a big thing with Dynasty QB, first round investment does mean so. I know we were just having that debate with Jordan Love. We've seen it over recent years with Fields and Lamar. Kind of going later in the first round. So I guess, and I've talked about him before, so I'm not going to try to repeat too many of the same talking points. I think he just simply can do stuff that other quarterbacks in this draft class and a lot of draft classes can't do at his size, the way he's able to run the ball and the throws he's able to make. I think a big underrated thing is his pocket presence. I know the big thing everyone always brings up, the LSU play. I know everyone, whenever people try to praise Richardson, they bring up that pick 6 against Kentucky. He's made mistakes, but he's also 21 years old. This year was his first only real year as a starter, and he did show improvement. And I just think there's going to be NFL coaches that, like, again, I've said multiple times on this pod, I don't think he's going to be a QB that can start right away. I think Bryce Young, like, if both of them started week one, Bryce Young would look better. But I think if he gets into the right offensive system, like if he ends up in like a Detroit or a Seattle, kind of in those teams picks, and I think he's going to end up going earlier. I know people were talking about him at the combine. I expect him to kill out the combine. That's not going to change my opinion of him, even though there's going to be a ton of hype about like, oh, look at this throw he made. Like I don't really care about that because I saw him do it in the SEC in like actual games. I just think it's one of those where it's like the ceiling is almost just too high. And I know you brought up like the Josh Allen comp, and I hate using the Josh Allen comp for QBs, but it's like
I don't mind it in this scenario. I think it's actually pretty good.
I was gonna say no, but that's the thing in this case where it's like the arm strength is absurd to be able to like move around the pocket and like about to be hit by someone and avoiding someone being able to just let it rip. Like some of these are like impressive, and like that's what you'll need to be able to do at the NFL level. Like you're not going to have a clean pocket a lot of times if you're a rookie QB on these bad teams. So do I think is he my QB1? No, he's currently my QB3. I think he has the highest ceiling though out of anyone in this QB class. And I think, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel based off of the reports you see. Feels like he's going first round. I've been saying that for a while, and now the reports have kind of started to back it up. I know Twitter went on like a huge just like session on like posting all these throws on him. I'm not really going to be the one to fall on Twitter because we've seen that with so many other QBs. But I think it's different. Like I hate the Malik Willis comps because this guy is a couple years younger and playing in the SEC. And I don't know. It's at the point, like, it's like if you watch the games, like, he has some games, like, I know if you point to the game against Kentucky, it's like he made terrible decisions, all that. But then it's like if you look at the game against Tennessee, it's like, oh, this guy's like should be like a top 5 pick, or the game against like Utah, or like some of the plays he made against LSU up until the very end. Where it's inconsistent. I don't think he'll be ready to start right away, and he's someone that I think you have to be patient with. But just especially the fantasy upside. If you take someone like him, he's going to be running the ball a lot. He's going to be someone who I think if he's like a full season starter has probably like 6+ rushing touchdowns. So it's one of those things. Would I feel comfortable taking him? Where is he supposed to go in dynasty drafts? Like 108?
So let's just assume he gets top 15 draft capital.
Okay.
At that point, I think he's a lock for being like a top 6, top 7 pick.
Yeah. If he gets top 15 draft capital, I feel good taking him there. I don't think I'm taking him over. I'm not taking him over Bijan. I'm not taking him over Bryce Young. But then after that, I think it's like you kind of open discussions. It depends how you feel about Stroud, I guess, where he ends up.
Right.
And real quick, I just want to hear before I keep going on JT's. Well, I kind of know what his general opinion will be.
Yeah, I was kind of just gonna let you cook.
No, it's okay. I don't want to go too long.
He's so like, all right. I don't think he's like that bad. Like, I don't think he's like terrible, but he is not worth a first round pick in dynasty drafts, but especially NFL drafts. I just don't.
If he goes in the first round in the NFL, will that?
No, because I mean, teams make bad picks all the time. EJ Manuel, Christian Ponder, Josh.
Yeah, Freeman, but we saw with like where I bring up the difference is like everyone was like saying like Malik Willis in the first round, and then NFL teams showed us like, yeah, no, he's not all that, and they let him fall to the third. I think it's like a different scenario where now if he goes in like the top 15 or top 18 picks, I think his floor is 18 in the first round.
Yeah, I think Malik Willis is a bad comp. Like you said, Malik Willis is a bad comp, but now you're comping to Malik Willis. Malik Willis.
No, I'm pointing out the
completely different issues. Like, yes,
I'm pointing out the difference.
Yes, like they both weren't like amazingly accurate, but Anthony Richardson's accuracy is better than Malik Willis's from like a difficult throw perspective. Like you look at Malik Willis had an easier time making the easy passes, but he would have some go balls that would literally end up like 3 rows in the stands. It was like, okay, that's bad. And then obviously the anticipation was like bad, and it was hidden a little bit by that offense. Now, idiots like me and Lounis bought into the fact like, oh, well, it's not that bad. Their offense sucked. When it's like, okay, well, meanwhile, the offense had to be that way because Malik Willis couldn't read a fucking defense. And now we see in the NFL, he literally couldn't complete a pass to a receiver. Like, unironically, could not complete a pass to a receiver. So yeah, that I agree with you that comp is bad. And yeah, like I don't think that Anthony Richardson falls to the third round anymore. I think latest he falls is that early second where we saw what's his name, like a Drew Lock fall. But he probably goes late first at latest. So I'll concede that
yeah.
But I agree more with JT than you.
The problem for me is the public, like everyone who's playing Dynasty, they're just going to overrate Anthony Richardson compared to where I have him, right? So, like, if he gets drafted in the top 15, like Lounis was saying, he's going to get drafted in the top 6, 7, maybe 8, who knows where. And that's just not where I'm comfortable drafting Anthony Richardson. And if I can't trade out from 108, I'm not going to draft Anthony Richardson there. I'm just going to take the prospect that I think is better, because I think you're just going to see the value drop on Anthony Richardson, because I'm fairly confident he's not going to play his first year. I just think he's such a raw prospect that it'd be hard to say he's going to play his first year. And then if he gets picked outside of the top 15 in the NFL draft, well, then I'm definitely out on him. And people are still going to give him excuses as like, oh, he's raw, kind of like the Jordan Love stuff, like raw prospect.
I think he's a significantly better prospect than Jordan Love.
And then, sure, I don't know about that, but I'm just not going to take him there either. Like, because then he'll probably be an end of the first round Dynasty rookie drafts. Maybe he'll fall into the second, depending on how far he actually falls in the NFL draft. But if he falls that far, I'm just not going to take him there either. So I would be very surprised if I have any Anthony Richardsons on my teams.
Wait, I just want to respond to chat. Anthony Richardson, worst prospect, how? Josh Allen barely had better stats playing Farmers in the Potato Bowl. I'm pretty sure Anthony Richardson had a higher passer rating too. I don't know, because to me, there's a couple of things I liked about Josh Allen in comparison to Anthony Richardson. First off, Josh Allen played for more than 1 year, and in one season had more career passing yards and passing touchdowns than Anthony Richardson had. So that's just kind of first things first. And then in conjunction with that, I think for quarterbacks, I really like to see a linear progression, right? I want to see you just clear, mainly with the interceptions. I want you to throw less fucking picks.
9 picks.
So I want to see, okay, year one, you do X, Y, and Z, you look good, whatever. And then year two, you do generally the same thing. You're just a little bit more efficient.
We didn't get to really see that though. He played like
with Josh Allen.
No, with Richardson.
Yeah, with Josh Allen, right? So Josh Allen, year one, he had better passing yards and passing touchdowns, I'm pretty sure. But year two, it's generally the same. It was a little worse in terms of fantasy production, but the interceptions was way worse. And this goes into my other point. I just think that everyone says, oh, Josh Allen, it was an easier conference and whatnot. Dude, that offense was not a good offense for a quarterback. That was not a quarterback friendly offense. It was hard to produce.
Who were the great skill guys that Florida had this season?
It's fucking Florida. They have a great offensive.
Yeah,
coach.
but you can see that
ETN dude is a
no. Actually, no.
ETN
is the one. ETN
they
is the
have
one guy.
a great offensive line. Dude, you cannot argue to me that Florida is lacking in the talent department. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, obviously they're talented, but it's you're saying oh, it's Florida. Oh, who are the defenses he has to go against? Oh, it's Georgia.
Yes, I agree, and but I'm not expecting him to produce against Georgia. But I think that the talent argument goes both ways, and the fact of the matter is that I like Florida's coaching staff offensively 90,000 times more, and I think they are entirely more creative. And this is not a hot take in the slightest, that they were better than that coaching staff that Josh Allen had at Wyoming. I mean, there's clear arguments that Wyoming offense left so much on the table with Josh Allen. They just completely hindered the shit out of him.
No, I mean,
so that's why I don't like it.
That's fair. And by the way, Richardson, he wasn't terrible against Georgia. What was his final? His completion percentage was bad. He was 1837, 271 passing yards, no picks, one passing touchdown. He was an inconsistent player this year. I'd say like the bright side, like you want to look at a game at Tennessee where he went for like fucking berserk versus a game when he was like home against Kentucky, and that's the one that's like always kind of used against him. I just think a lot of his issues are stuff like mechanics and footwork, where I feel like he can really clean that up, like sitting a little bit. I don't think it's something where his ability to process a defense or like a talent thing, or his ability to like navigate through a pocket, not be able to make a certain throw. I think it's stuff just like his footwork, trying to like make certain plays that he can't make, which I'm sure growing up, he probably felt like Superman, being able to do whatever he wanted in high school and early on. And he made some plays like that in the SEC. Draft capital is going to be such a big thing in indicating where he should go in rookie drafts. Because if you told me he went top 5, I wouldn't be surprised. If you told me he went, I don't know, 18th, 20th, I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be surprised if he fell out of the first round.
So, is starting 1 year that bad? Are college games more valuable than learning an NFL offense for a year? Well, I think this is a loaded question. I do think that the college teams are more willing to develop you as a player than the NFL teams. I think the NFL teams, there's a little bit more of okay, if you can't play, we are going to not play you and not develop you. Like, we are not going to fucking support you. You are supposed to kind of like show up and be ready to go for the most part. I think that there are some teams, these guys right behind me, I think the Packers are another one, that focus more on developing their players. So like, I think it's like, okay, depends on what team you go to, but generally speaking, like, I think that development is going to happen more in the college game than the NFL. Going to the starting 1 year thing, I think more times than not, successful NFL quarterbacks have played for multiple years. But that doesn't automatically mean that starting 1 year is like, oh, you cannot play. But when your 1 year is starting is like worse than every single NFL quarterback's any like good season, like their best season or like average season, that's where I kind of be like, okay, I'm not sure I believe in this.
That's what I wish we had gotten to see multiple seasons of him starting. But it is a scenario where he only had the one, and it's not like something where he's a guy who's 23 or 24 coming out. He's still only 21. This is gonna sound like such like a basic answer, so I hate saying it, but it's just he's too talented for me not to ignore. And like, we see how much the NFL values like intangibles with these QBs. That's why some guys go as high as they do. Not intangible, just like talent with like being able like certain size, certain build. Like, he's 6'4" and he's probably going to run a 4.4 and have the biggest arm at the combine. The combine isn't going to change my opinion on him, but I'm sure you guys can envision his hype is only going to go up after it, because he's probably going to be the most impressive QB at the combine.
I don't want to misconstrue my argument with JT's, because JT is just straight up avoid Anthony Richardson, which, listen, I'm closer to JT than I am to you. I am not strictly like completely avoiding Anthony Richardson, especially if he does go in the top 15, which, listen, I admit that I'd be wrong with my opinion on Anthony Richardson. But then it goes more towards the argument, what's the price you're willing to pay? Because I'm just not going to be drafting Anthony Richardson in the top 6. If I'm sitting there with a 108, a 109, or a 110, yeah, I'm going to have to think about it, especially because of the fact that if he doesn't start for a year, I actually think that makes his value go up, because that second season, people are going to be like, holy shit, baby, we did it. Anthony Richardson time. Let's fucking go.
I was going to say, it definitely won't go down. At the very worst, it'll stay even.
Because I'm pretty sure that's what happened with Trey Lance for the most part, is that Mm-hmm. He didn't play, and it was not, well, shit, Trey Lance didn't play for a year. This might not work out. It went like, dude, it's fucking Trey Lance time, baby. Do you see this 49ers offense? Let's fucking ride. Like,
I will say where Trey Lance differs than Anthony Richardson, well, we don't know yet, but in the Trey Lance instance, right, like all of the other quarterbacks were doing bad, like poorly. They were all the other rookie quarterbacks were playing poorly. And this was a 49ers offense that was like, or a 49ers team that was vying for the Super Bowl. It's not like they're a trash team, so why not see what you have from Trey Lance? And the likes of Anthony Richardson, we don't know where he's going to end up yet. So, like, if he ends up on a bad team, people are going to start asking questions. Like, for example, say the Texans take him. Maybe they don't take him at 2. They take him at whatever their next pick is. And they're like, this is our guy. And you don't see Anthony Richardson starting by, like, week 10. You're going to be like, well, what the heck is this? Why is Anthony Richardson not starting for this team? Why are we not seeing Anthony Richardson yet? But if, like Chat's saying, if he gets drafted to the Lions or the Seahawks, teams that were in the playoffs or basically in the playoffs, that I guess you'd get more favorable. Like there'd be more leniency towards Anthony Richardson. I'm just kind of curious, Lounis, how would you compare Anthony Richardson to Trey Lance as a prospect?
That's actually a good comparison. I don't think it's too far off.
Who do you have ahead of?
Probably Richardson.
Over Lance, really?
Yeah.
It's crazy to me.
You want to talk about only playing one season?
Lance played 2.
Oh, 2. No, I'm sorry. I was thinking Lance in terms of how many. Yeah. Like, and I hate like using like the comp with like the conference, but it's like if you put Anthony Richardson in that conference, he's gonna look like a god.
Well, that's where
I don't agree with that though. I think that's a bad take because I used to think like that too, and it was Josh Allen that convinced me because I saw Josh Allen fucking like breaking a crap ton of tackles and like juking people out, and I'm like, oh well, he's playing in the Farmers League. But then all of a sudden, I see in his rookie year, he's hurdling people and he's breaking more tackles than in the Farmers League. And I'm like, well, shit, what the hell happened last night? Was it that Josh Allen is playing a bunch of shits, or was it, oh, Josh Allen might be athletic, right? Like, I think it's more
I think Trey Lance is athletic. But I mean, I think even in the limited playing time, like Trey Lance, he's been athletic, but I don't think he hasn't looked as a runner like he did in college. I think there's a higher chance that Anthony Richardson translates way better as a runner.
I think
he will be a better runner in the NFL, and I think he's a better arm than Trey Lance.
I think that's a fair take.
And we're already seeing stuff with Trey Lance, like talking about arm fatigue, and I thought it was a bullshit report till Trey Lance himself confirmed it. I don't think you ever have to worry about that with Anthony Richardson.
I think the wrong rabbit hole is with the small school versus big school kind of thing.
No, I know, and I hate using that as a reason. I think like the big with Trey Lance was like it was always like look at like all like the talent. Look how talented he is. Like he could run. He has like that's like good like QB size. He has a cannon. I think Anthony Richardson, each of those, but slightly better.
Yeah, but I mean, do you know how many interceptions Trey Lance threw in his?
Did he throw none for one season?
Yeah, 0.
For 2.
He threw 1 in his like football.
College 0. Football
Yeah. His COVID year.
0.
Yeah. My last point on this small school thing though is that I just think once again the argument that's more important is how much more dominant was your team than the other team, not what conference were you in, right? Like, if you're, North, I'll give you it with Trey Lance. He's on North Dakota State. I mean, I could probably play quarterback. We'd have a decent chance at winning against some of those teams, right? Like, we could just hand the ball off every fucking play and have a decent shot. But, like, okay, let's take it to the SEC. Why is Stetson Bennett not number 1 pick McGee? Look at his numbers. Look at the national championship. It's because clearly Georgia is just a dominant team. It's not Stetson Bennett that's carrying them. Yeah,
he's half a decade older than Anthony Richardson.
Okay, but if Stetson Bennett was going fucking nuclear and carrying Georgia like Joe Burrow did, I don't think people would give a fuck how old he was.
Stetson Bennett isn't like
Exactly. You want to know why? Because George is fucking nasty. I could play quarterback for them and we would go 500.
Even with the nasty roster, like if you look at some of the throws each of them makes, Stetson Bennett isn't making the play or the runs or the throws that Anthony Richardson is.
Lounis, this is not an argument about who is better, Stetson Bennett or Anthony Richardson.
No, but I'm saying you're looking at ability.
Listen to me. This is not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is it matters if your team is just better than the other team.
I know,
if the guys you're playing with is better than the other guys, right?
I know, but I'm saying
that's
like, sure, maybe that counts.
That counts for... He's playing in a shitty conference, but he's not on a team that is wildly better than the other teams.
No, I know, I get that, but it's not just about counting sets. It's like when you watch them, the plays that they're able to make. Stetson Bennett is making like a quarter of the plays Anthony Richardson can make.
Yes, I know that. I'm not arguing that Stetson Bennett is better than Anthony fucking Richardson. Where are you getting this from?
Look at his counting stats. Look at his wins. Like that's not what it's about. I mean, obviously, that's a factor.
What is the argument you're trying to say? I don't know what the point is.
I just didn't like this. That's a Bennett because it's like, yeah, he has talent, but like he's not being able to he's not being asked to do a whole ton versus what Anthony Richardson was asked to do for Florida's offense.
JT, am I the only one that is on crack right now? What is happening?
Lounis, what do you think Frank is arguing? What do you think Frank is saying?
Because you're saying like he had a lot of success because of the talent around him.
Yes, Stetson Bennett had a lot of success because he was on a team that was just better than everyone else.
I'm saying it's not just about like the final wins, like maybe final number. I'm looking at the type of plays they're each able to make and how much each is being asked to do for their offense.
Yeah, I'm doing that with Stetson Bennett. Like
you guys are saying the same thing.
I'm looking, what does he do? Okay, he's not doing as much as the numbers say. We're literally saying the same fucking thing.
Oh, but I thought you were using that as like a case against Richardson. Because he's asked to do way more for that Florida offense.
No.
This is what I'm saying. I think that using, Josh Allen played in a bad conference is just not good analysis because it matters. How good was that team in that conference? Like, okay, yes, if we're in extremes, right? If Josh Allen is playing against preschoolers, that's a different story. If he wasn't still playing against Division I, like, and decent, like, good level Division I football. This isn't like D1, like, freaking asterisk McGee, right? Like, this is still pretty big time football. And he was not on a team that was just like wildly better than everyone. He did not have a coaching staff that was, in my opinion, even good. Like, let's take a look at Anthony Richardson. Florida is not a bad football team. I agree with you. Florida is not an amazing football team. They're not Georgia. But like saying, Anthony Richardson was when you're comparing him to Josh Allen, Josh Allen's in the Farmers League. Anthony Richardson's doing it in the SEC. It's like, Anthony Richardson's not doing this on fucking Vanderbilt, right? He's on Florida. Florida is a talented football team. There's some good fucking football players.
But why is Josh Allen like the one player able to just negate all the other small QBs that went early? Like Zach Wilson didn't just happen 2 years ago.
There's a lot of small school quarterbacks.
What about Zach Wilson?
Because the exact case you can make for Josh Allen saying like the level of competition doesn't matter. Like I'm not going to be the one to use it because
BYU was legitimately a dominant team.
Yes. No, they were a super talented team. I don't know. I do think it makes a difference. Even though Josh Allen's like he's an alien.
Like, I mean, listen, I don't disagree with you. I'm not out here clamoring for every small school player, but like, I just don't like that argument against Josh Allen. He's in the Farmers League. Why didn't he put up these numbers? And then we start getting into that. I think that the added context is what matters.
I think it's fair. I understand your points. I think come draft time, we're going to see. And I expect.
I just want to wrap it back around to Anthony Richardson. Like, who do I think had an easier time to succeed, all things considered, I would argue Anthony Richardson. I think that Florida offense is a more quarterback-friendly offense than that Wyoming offense was. I don't give a fuck about the conferences.
I don't know why we keep going back to Josh Allen, because I feel like Josh Allen is like the outlier. Like we're chasing this one outlier, and then we're trying to put Anthony Richardson in a similar bucket and compare and be like one for one. Like it's just like there's a lot of players like Josh Allen who didn't pan out.
Exactly.
And so if we're putting Anthony Richardson, and so if we're putting Anthony Richardson in that bucket, why are we just comparing him? It just feels like he's way more likely to fail than succeed. Like we only have the one Josh Allen compared to the, I don't know, JP Lossmans of the world.
But I don't think there's been as many physically talented quarterbacks, like I guess in Anthony Richardson's position, considering like team and situation. I'm sure there's some that have big arms, but I don't know. I do think that he's going to end up going top 15, top 12. And that an NFL offensive coordinator, offensive team is just going to want to be able to get their hands on him. Not force him to start right away, but it's just like you can do everything you want on the field. And I don't know. I don't want to repeat points I said earlier.
He feels like a Paxton Lynch.
No.
Like, look at this big guy. He's got talent.
I saw Paxton Lynch play a lot. Paxton Lynch is not in the same league.
What do you think? I don't know. Look at that big guy. He's got a giant arm. He was
in Temple's conference. I remember him.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I was not a fan of Paxton Lynch. I feel like I'm at least willing to see. I can at least see the Anthony Richardson panning out. Paxton Lynch. Listen. That was way back in the day, though. But I don't know. My problem with Anthony Richardson ultimately is the same thing with JT. It's just too much risk. It's way too much risk. He's like, from a numbers perspective, he's just horrible compared to the other top guys. But numbers perspective, Trey Lance is not horrible. Like his completion numbers is fine. He doesn't throw picks, and he's a great runner.
Yeah.
I don't think he's as good as arm or as good a runner as Richardson.
That's fair. I will give you that. And that's why Anthony Richardson has all this hype. But when I watched Anthony Richardson, I wasn't like wowed to the point where I'm going to put aside the fact that, like, dude, this guy completed like 50% of his passes. Like, we do not. This is why I brought up Josh Allen, is that this is the success story, right? And there's going to be people that say like, oh, that's a bad comp. I really don't think it's a bad comp at all.
For this case, it's not terrible. I mean, but in terms of like the accuracy, if he was more accurate, he'd be going number one.
Yeah.
That's why we're in the discussion with him going.
If he was good, he would get drafted high. Yeah.
We have to look at the talent of the teams on a scale. Compare to the other SEC teams. Did Florida have a top tier roster? I'd say like above average. The difference between the hits and the busts is a mental thing. It's very hard to evaluate, I think. Yeah, I mean, there is like a huge element to that. But so I let's just go back more to a dynasty slant, though. Lounis, where's the high? Okay, Anthony Richardson goes pick 8 or pick 9. Let's say pick 9 to Carolina. How about that? Or Carolina trades up to pick 7. How about that? Pick 7. That's what I've decided. Where is he on the rookie big board for you?
I can say off the bat he's on my top 5. Where in the top 5?
So like Bijan, at least in the top above him. Who else is above him?
You have to, just because it's a much safer pick, Bryce Young. If he goes that early, I'm taking him ahead of Stroud.
Okay. So then what, like JSN Gibbs?
If he goes, what you said, like 7th or
pick
8th?
pick 7 to Carolina. They trade up to pick 7.
I'm gonna say JT's gonna hate this take. He might be 103 if he goes pick 7.
And this is why I don't have Anthony Richard shares.
Yep.
I will not.
If he goes pick 7, if he's a top 7 pick.
Yeah, he's at 103. Like, first off, I don't have. Actually, no, we do have 103 in our rebuild league. I was gonna say I don't have picks that go that high, but we do have 103 in one league. But yeah, I'm not taking.
If he falls to the teens, I'm gonna put a couple of guys ahead of him. But if he gets number 7 to Frank Reich, and I like Frank Reich as a head coach for developing a young quarterback, I think he would actually do a really good job. That's like one of the more ideal scenarios. Again, you're giving me the scenario where he goes number 7 to Frank Reich and the Panthers.
I don't know about significantly, but he's definitely a worse prospect than Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert got drafted 6th, 7th? I forget. He got drafted 6th, and he was an end of the first round prospect. So why is Anthony Richardson not as good as a prospect? Also gets drafted at a similar spot. Why is he all of a sudden a 3rd?
I think Herbert was weird. I think Herbert was a weird scenario where everyone missed on.
Yeah, I guess it maybe is rushing.
Yeah, also people hated Justin Herbert.
They did.
Herbert was a weird scenario.
Okay, Richardson will likely need a team to stick with him even if he's terrible for 2 years, then give him a monster alpha wide receiver. Not sure that'll happen. I think that's what made Allen the outlier. I don't know. Buffalo was like a decent team. I mean, they kind of like had a good defense and scrapped along.
That's a good take. The next comment. If he's asked to start day 1, I don't think it'll be a good idea. I think he needs to sit for a little bit.
I don't really think that changes my value of him, though.
You know, it doesn't really. I just mean in general. I just don't think it'd be a good idea for a team to start in week 1.
All right. Well, I'm out of words.
I am as well.
Well, if you made it this far, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Everyone in chat, we love you guys. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so day 1 starters are all the busts, no?
Andrew Luck.
I don't think that's the case with a lot. Like, there's certain situations you could point that at. Like, could you argue Zach Wilson starting? Could you argue like Zach Wilson starting right away was a mistake and kind of killed his confidence? Like, you can make the case for that, but there have been a ton of rookie quarterbacks who have started day 1.
Not really. I feel like it was this year that killed. Like, I feel like the confidence in Zach Wilson was high after his rookie year.
I guess.
No,
like,
I mean,
yeah, it
all
wasn't
the busts
like
were
great, but no one was like, "Oh, we got to get rid of this guy." Like that happened this year.
No, wait, but their argument is all the busts were day 1 starters, which I do kind of see what you're saying. But like, say Trey Lance doesn't hit, like he would be a bust, right? That wouldn't be day 1 starter.
Number 3.
Well, now is part of this just because most of these first round quarterbacks become day 1 starters? Is that part of it?
I'm trying to think of like,
was Josh Rosen a day 1 starter?
Yes.
Bust.
I mean, I think it's give or take. I mean, Kyler also for the same team was, and he's been good. I know this past season was a down year, but I mean, he's still like.
I think I at least give credit, like looping in just the clear, insane talent quarterbacks, like, you know, Joe Burrow, Kyler, these guys. Oh, I mean, Baker Mayfield wasn't a day 1 starter.
True.
He did have varying degrees of success, though. So I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, looking back, it was a bust, but there was an offseason where people were saying they should give him the extension. Jeez, imagine that. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. We love you guys. We'll have the combine results in next week, so we should have some interesting new stuff to talk about. We're going to be ripping a mock as well, so
there are going to be some randos getting hype. We're going to have to find
there's going to be some late round receiver who runs like a 4.26 or something.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Peace out. See